Hello there, welcome to this session in which we are looking at your enlightenment journey. Okay, so this is the explanation of the enlightenment journey and how to recognize your path. So before we even begin, what if I could show you a way where you could make life choices that you wanted to, where you had something like the courage to change your circumstances where you wanted to, not where circumstances demanded it on you, where you wanted to. For instance, you wanted to change that job, that relationship situation, that communication let down, and you wanted to feel more confident about your sensitivity. Even achieve top level, and I mean a top level, inner development, where you no longer get caught out at all by other people's emotions, and that you have the ability to do something with all of that training. Because yes, as an intuitive sensitive, I'm pretty sure that through the years you have gathered a lot of training, but you haven't yet necessarily done anything with it. You think, I just need the one more thing, or the one more this, or the one more that, and then maybe I'll be ready. Well, what if you suddenly had or felt more confident with that ability to do something with all that training that you've done over the years? All of that is what members of my higher development programs, such as the Violet Flame, have achieved. I'd very much like to invite you to join the Violet Flame, but rather than sell it to you, okay, what I thought I'd do is tell you about it, okay, tell you what it is, tell you how it works, and tell you what you can do in terms of what it can do for you, and tell you how to join if you would like. Okay, so pretty much as we go along, we'll go into that. Now, when I started to develop my inner world, these were all things that I wanted. I wanted to change that job, do what I wanted to do, no longer feel overwhelmed, definitely, by other people's emotions. And I wanted to develop my inner world to a high level. During my early life though, I was surrounded, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but I was surrounded by a lot of arguing, silence and violence, quite honestly. I thought that was normal. I thought that was the 70s, and that's what people did in the 70s. That was the normal parenting style. That's what I believed, that's what I thought. Therefore, I grew up to be a good girl. Okay, I was a very good girl. Do everything right, people please, and be super nice. My sibling was the rebel. So when, as an adult, I walked out of my job to do my own thing, it was very much a shock to all. Okay, I walked out of my job, I walked out of my life pretty much, to do exactly what I wanted rather than what someone else wanted me to do. And that was a major shock for all involved. In the beginning, it wasn't easy. There were piles of rejection. Okay, I stuck with it though. As they say, success is the sweetest revenge, and believe me, I had the experience where it was very much trying to tear me down, tear me apart. Okay, and I'm going to show you how your own journey of the enlightenment aspect of transformation shows during your lifetime. Okay, and I'm also going to show you through these as well, and you think, what's these? What's she got in front of her? These sort of half things. I'll show you what that means a little bit later. Perhaps that you think there isn't the chance that anything could change for you. Okay, that you think, oh, there's no chance, it's all right for you, Heidi. You know, nothing can really change for me. I've tried. Believe me, I did that, and I did an awful lot of that. Maybe you think that enlightenment is some nice idea, but yeah, I'll listen to it, but it's not really within my reach. Or perhaps you think for inner development to really kind of work, you must have to be born with the tap on the head with the magic stick with some kind of amazing ability. And that's not true, okay? It's not true. You don't have to be born with some amazing ability. The fact is that, as an example, brain scientists used to think that the brain couldn't change, okay? It's old data that the brain couldn't change, but it still very much is within our belief system, okay? That scientists used to believe, brain scientists used to believe, that it's fixed, okay? So that all your brain pathways, etc., are fixed in childhood, and you stuck with what you've got. End of. That's it. You can't do anything else about it. The truth is, that is old evidence, okay? It's now very old evidence, but it takes a long time for our normal world to just catch up with that kind of information. Now, knowledge of the brain has changed considerably. Considerably. The brain actually has constant plasticity, okay? It means that it can change and it can move. It's like Play-Doh. It's like modeling clay, okay? You can be changed and you can shape it pretty much into what you make it. But notice it's what's done with it rather than just trying to watch it change into something. Like modeling clay, you don't just watch it and hope that it's going to change into something. You have to do something with it. It means that you can completely, and I would absolutely say this is true, because I've experienced it, you can completely reorganize the brain from, say, something like feeling like life is a car crash, or it crashes around you, whatever you try and solve, suddenly it crashes, into this space of feeling permanently confident and centered, no matter what is going on in your external environment. As I go further into this session, I will explain exactly how that works as far as the Enlightenment journey is concerned, because that's pretty much what it is. Okay, it's moving your life from feeling, or your whole perspective, how your view out into life, where it feels like you crash into certain things, or every time you try, it never quite works out, or doesn't quite work out in the way you wanted to or expected to, into this space of feeling more permanently confident and centered. As I say, doesn't happen. This doesn't happen on its own. It may begin on its own, but it doesn't complete on its own. So in short, the new evidence of plasticity says that you can build the brain that you want, okay? But, there's a big but, there's always a big but, but you have to participate, okay? It doesn't happen on its own. Like the modeling clay, if you look at it, it doesn't model itself. It doesn't solve, it doesn't create, it doesn't do anything, it just sits there. You have to do something with it. So as soon as you do something with the brain, neuroplasticity says very clearly that you can change any pathways, okay? You can pretty much create yourself a whole new network. The road to enlightenment is a spark point, okay? I'm just going to describe it as a spark point of the brain's transformation. A spark point of how you create enough of that transformation so that you start to see the world differently. You start to see things differently. Your focus becomes different and your perception becomes different. Okay? So what enhances neuroplasticity? Well, 3 things. Behavior, how you go about doing things, practice. As I say, you're not going to model, even if you're playing with modeling clay, the perfect thing first time, okay? It takes a little bit of shaping, it takes a bit of practice, it takes a bit of work with it, okay? So behavior, practice, and you have to do the work. It's not going to happen on its own. There is involvement with it. There is your conscious involvement with it, okay? It's very easy for people to spend their life in hope. Hope becomes reality when you put those 3 things together, okay? put behavior aspects together, you work at it, you very much work at it, and you practice. Okay, you practice. So if it's only these kind of things, these three things, so behavior, practice, and that you just simply have to work at it. If it was all those things, it was just those things, okay, how come, if that's the case, why doesn't everyone get the same results? Why doesn't it work out the same way for everybody? Well, plasticity is what works for certain people, okay? So neuroplasticity isn't the same for everybody. It's what works for certain people. So different things work for different people. So what works for you as a sensitive will have a slower impact on a non-sensitive. So when you get into that space of thinking, okay, I'm on this enlightenment journey and I've got people around me who I really want to bring with me, yet they're not coming with me. Why aren't they coming? Why aren't they getting this? Why isn't this? Why isn't that? And you get into that space of going, well, what have I done wrong? Why won't they come with me? I'm really excited about this. Why don't they come? Because their path, as an example, as a non-sensitive or somebody who is a sensitive who isn't participating, okay, their path, what works for them will be a slower path, a slower impact than it would be for you. Okay, how come? Because biomarkers, okay, biomarkers make a difference to the length of time and brain plasticity. Okay, so biomarkers, so biological markers, make a difference to the length of time that it takes for someone to do something, for that brain difference to happen, and the pliability of that modeling clay, that Play-Doh. Okay, so it's a bit like, you know, if you've got a lump of Play-Doh and you let it dry out, okay, you don't keep it moist or in a, you know, sealed cup or something, then it's going to dry out. So if someone hasn't done a thing ever, then, you know, the aspects of that neuroplasticity and being able to move certain things or pathways or ways of looking at things in life is going to take a lot longer, because it needs to be a little bit wetter in order for it to be more pliable. Okay, so in our world as sensitives, as intuitive sensitives, we have a lot of moisture, so to speak, and our moisture is our emotions. So our emotions make it much easier for us to apply aspects that create new pathways than it does for the average individual when we step onto our right path. Part of your difference is your nervous system, and it runs differently to the average person. It's no getting away from it. Okay, that's what happens. It runs differently, and there's nothing wrong with it running differently. In fact, I think it runs more efficiently than for the majority of people, especially when you engage with adjusting some of your current perceptions. Therefore, when things are personalized to your nervous system, bingo, okay, bingo, things start moving. For some sensitives, it's instant. For others, it takes longer. Okay, there are certain factors or certain areas of where people will still have ability as far as neuroplasticity is concerned to change pathways, to change things, to change the circuit, so to speak, to not be determined by past things that have occurred or in aspects of limitation. Part of the enlightenment journey is to loosen things up, okay, to loosen up your perceptions, to get you more comfortable with change. Because in the enlightenment path, there will always be change. There will always be change in your life. How you adapt to that change determines your altitude, and it determines your altitude in all aspects of life. So, you know, for some sensitives it takes a very short period of time, and for others it takes a bit longer. There's nothing wrong with how long it takes, okay? But in terms of things matching, in terms of that very clear aspect of that your nervous system is different. And when things are personalized to that nervous system and things start working really well, yes, of course, it takes a little bit longer or a shorter time, depending on the person, depending on the sensitive. It's why the enlightenment path shows up in your life, okay? So it's why the enlightenment path shows up in your life. At some point or another, you wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be listening to me right now if the enlightenment path hasn't shown up at some level in your life. Okay, this is how it starts. It starts in this position here. Okay, it starts with a level of frustration, starts with a feeling of I've got to get out of here. Okay, that you have this feeling that you want to escape. You may not even know what in life it is that you want to escape, you may not be familiar with what it is, but you feel in life that you somehow or another kind of in the wrong skin. Okay, something's not matching, something's not going right for you, and you start to get fed up. Okay, and you get into that place where you need something to change, but at the same time it doesn't feel like it's something that you necessarily know what to do or you have control over. Okay, at that particular stage of the journey where that frustration is strong, that's the beginning part of the enlightenment journey. So those years back, or if it is right now, where you felt intensely frustrated, feeling that life presented before you that somehow or another you're in the wrong skin, in the wrong place, everything around doesn't seem to fit, yet you can feel that there's a deepening for something else, and you're fed up, you need something to change, but you're not sure how to acquire it or what it is. Okay, that's the beginning of the enlightenment journey. Okay, how you step onto it. You feel at that stage contained, frustrated, but at the same time you fear the change. Okay, you feel in some kind of intensified bubble that wants to burst, but it's not. It's not bursting. Then you start to wonder, am I the only one who feels this? Am I the only one who feels this going on, this level of intensity that I need something to change, and I'm getting really frustrated, but I don't know who to speak to about this? Am I the only one who's feeling this? Am I the only one who gets this? Am I the only one who experiences this? Because no one else around me seems to get it. You then start to feel in the space that you are surrounded by people who don't understand. They don't understand you, yet you understand them. Okay, so you get into this alone space of thinking, I get them, why don't they get me? Why does it seem that they are completely devoid of understanding where I'm at, yet I can get exactly where they're at? And this feels like a very lonely place, and it feels I'm not sure I can trust. Okay, this is the next stage of the enlightenment cycle, enlightenment journey. This is how you know that you're on that path. Okay, it's the am I alone stage. Okay, it's at the am I alone stage that you realize that you're an intuitive, sensitive person, that you are more aware, that you have some kind of more refined system, that you have a sort of a deeper connection with some kind of level of consciousness. This can also be when someone starts to feel things on a very kind of spiritual level, or start to have some kind of experience of another feel of vibration or another feel of dimension. It can also be when you start to feel that you have an interest in healing, Reiki, psychic development, spiritual development, but you don't really know what it is, but you're fascinated and you're thinking, does anyone else want to join me? And they're all looking at you as if to say, you've lost the plot. Okay, and then you start to feel that things need to change even more. So maybe it's had some kind of line of satisfaction with it. Maybe it's that kind of feel that, yeah, I've done lots of things, I've done Reiki, but it doesn't feel like enough, doesn't feel like it's deep enough. I get this a lot. Oh yeah, that was exciting for a bit, and now I'm feeling that there's a whole bunch of egos involved, and there is what started off as this really interesting thing, and I feel like I'm in the middle of something that I don't want to be in the middle of, and that there's a cross between something that feels spiritual and very ego orientated in groups and finance. So you start to think, well, even if I'm surrounded by other people who've got these kind of interests, still I feel like I'm the only one. Okay, I still feel like I'm the only one. And then you start to feel, you move into this stage here where you think, do you know what? I think I'm meant for something more. Maybe it is that you wake up one morning and think, is this it? Is this it? Is this it? There must be something more. You get bored of your current life. Things feel that they're not quite moving. You're sort of attached to some aspects of the old. You got really excited back here in phases, and now you've gone into this space of feeling a bit flat, and you think, do you know what? There must be something else. This can even feel like a numbness. It can feel like a one moment of sort of connection and elation and feeling, quite engaged with the enlightenment journey, but at the same time feeling something's not enough. Something doesn't feel like it's enough. So at this particular stage, when you get into this place where you then think, oh, I'm meant for something more, must be something more, and you get bored with your current life, just as I did. For me, it was a big change, a massive change. The path that I chose, it was a huge change as far as that's concerned. It doesn't have to be something as drastic as what I did for everybody else. It can be just more of a feeling that follows you around, okay? I had no idea at this particular time, at this stage, in terms of feeling this, what meaning was. I didn't really have any barometer of what I thought that was. I had no real idea of what it looked like. And I think quite often at this stage in the enlightenment journey, we kind of think that we're supposed to know. Know exactly what it is. But I had no idea what meaning was or looked like. But what I did know was that I wanted it. Okay, that's what I did know. I did know that I wanted it. Then, at this stage, comes the connection component. Okay, the connection phase is that you start to find that your relationships change, and you start to associate very strongly or only with people of integrity. Okay, at this stage here in the Meant for More, it can feel a bit like an emotional abyss at times, especially if you're crossing here, which it kind of feels like a no man's land, because a lot of the relationships that have occurred in your life maybe have been built upon I'm kind of going to say the false self, so a perception of yourself rather than who you are. And so when you deepen your relationship with yourself and go into this deeper space, or the Meant for More space, you kind of think, do these people align with me? Do they they don't feel like who I am now? And then this can feel like this sort of no man's land space in between here. Okay, before you make that shift into this space of connection. And the space of the connection is that you then find yourself only really associating with people of integrity, and those who are not particularly of integrity, rather than having to go shoot them down kind of thing, you're more inclined to say, do you know what, I realize what those limitations are. And that becomes a space of lightening the load. So you're no longer carrying this kind of heavy backpack of life, all the things that are part of your life past, and you start to feel more free. And you could even associate that as being free to be me. But perhaps right now you're not entirely sure what me looks like. Okay, At this stage, the connection stage, you're then accelerating your emotional intelligence. Okay, your emotional intelligence means that you're in that space of neuroplasticity. Your lump of modeling clay has been moved around, that you're using it, that you're actually keeping it supple, that you're changing things, and it's starting to feel very much like that. So therefore your perception changes. So your perception changes of high levels of relationships. So you start to move from this space of thinking, yeah, I'd really like that, to actually going, but I can't I can really like that, but I can't have it, into this, yeah, of course I can have it, because the pathways are changing. Okay, and then you start to create this other perception of your world. So at this stage, the connection stage, you're moving into emotional intelligence, and you feel those paths of those new brain connectors. You can feel them. You can feel that something feels different, it feels more consistent, and you start to feel at a deeper level. Because life, the enlightenment journey, is very much about perception. Okay, how your perception adjusts, how it changes. You're no longer part of lower vibrational frequencies. Okay, it changes because your focus adjusts, because your pathways have adjusted. So if you imagine that if you open up new pathways in your own brain, that it has that huge possibility of opening you up to new and deeper levels of your own consciousness. It's not something that you're going to acquire, it's what you're opening yourself up to. And this, in terms of that push through those different layers, is the enlightenment journey. And then we move into this fearless phase. Okay, the fearless phase happens into this space where you feel secure, instinctual, deeply instinctual, as in when you think about things, you think, yeah, that's right, yeah, that's right, yeah, that's not right, but unattached to the outcome. Okay, so you don't need fixed outcomes in order to feel safe. Life flows. It flows with intuition, it flows with a curiosity, and it flows with a sense of belonging. Okay, you just find yourself in a natural space of feeling that you belong. So the steps of each of this journey can be seen, and I'm going to show you with these dolls. Okay, so with these Russian dolls. Now, if you imagine, okay, this is you at the beginning of your enlightened journey, of the journey of the enlightened self. Okay, feeling that somehow or another that you feel quite small in the big scheme of things. It almost feels infant-like, it feels new, and it feels something that's unfamiliar, and you don't know, and you haven't got the certainty, and you certainly haven't got the experience. And this is how it feels right at the beginning of the enlightenment journey. It feels that you're frustrated, you feel like this kind of little baby being who desperately wants to run, but they haven't learnt how to walk yet. Okay, then as that starts to develop, it then moves into this phase, okay, which is, yes, okay, I feel a little bit alone, I feel a bit isolated within my journey because I'm not sure yet, I'm not sure I'm the only one that really gets this, but actually you have a deeper instinct, and you know that there is more, you know that there's more to that, you know that there is a deeper part to it, and that you've got this kind of feeling around it. And you find yourself on that path. Maybe you've already tried to get off the enlightenment path, and you think, oh, should I get off? Can I get off? Can I get off? And you go, no, something's pulling me further. Something's pulling me further into myself. Do I go back out here? No, something keeps pulling me further. And then when it comes into this, oh, do you know what? Maybe I'm meant for something more. Maybe that this part of me becomes a bit more confident, becomes more expansive. Yes, that somehow or another, even if I'm feeling that I haven't quite got full faith in myself, that something's moving forward, something's getting there, something feels like I feel bigger in this world. I don't feel this like I'm this small, this small feeling of being insignificant, and certainly things bother me less than they used to. Okay, this is when it starts to pile into here. You feel a little bit more certain of yourself, but you think, oh, there's something more than this. Do I look back there? It feels like an empty path. If I look forward here, it feels like something that's deeper, more fulfilling, but I don't necessarily understand it. It still feels like it's half a bucket. Okay, connection. You then think, oh, do you know what I was missing was this aspect of trust where I can allow connection. I can allow connection, a deeper connection within myself, that I've learned how to be able to trust more, but I couldn't do that on my own. I needed something that felt deeper, that felt stronger. And yes, I do feel like I've lightened this load of the past. I feel like a bigger person now, and I don't feel like this past aspect particularly aggravates me or grieves me. And then the fearless. It feels like from the connection into the fearless, feels like a natural progression. And then you have this feeling of the whole. Okay, so then in this space, in terms of the enlightenment path, you can look out into the big wide world. As you can see, if it feels bigger and it feels not rattling around, that it's all contained within there, that whatever you see or whatever you look out to in the world, it doesn't feel so scary or unpredictable. But it would feel a bit scary and unpredictable if you were still, excuse me a second, in the position of being this, but thinking, I want to be there. I want to be in this place of fearless. That it's somehow just going to show overnight, that somehow or another, that you can miss out all these stages and then just pop in there and feel like you're whole and complete. Well, there is still this little part within that's floating around. It's rattling around in a great big space. That little part in there, rattling around in there, is going to feel insecure. It's going to feel aspects of instability. It's certainly not going to be fearless. So you could say, as an example, that one of these, who thinks they're one of these without doing the stages of that, would be, because they'd have the deep insecurity inside, but think that they had this great persona of what was projected on the external world, but tried to hide the fact that you feel like that inside. You could say that that is quite a narcissistic character. Okay, and maybe you've been on the receiving end of one of those during your life experience, and you know how damaging and harmful that is, because they give this impression that they're this big figure in life or in your life, but actually they're ruled by this tiny little insecurity that rattles around inside of them. So hopefully you realize, and what I'm saying is that there are not parts to be missed out. All these parts can work at the same time within you, or show in different parts of who you are on your journey at different stages, but at the same time the whole journey is about acknowledging parts that are missed or parts that you need to go back through. So really, if you look at this from the infant self to the adult, okay, you can look at this as the same. So in terms of the enlightenment journey, it's from the infant self, physical world, through into a deeper connection with your internal world, into the adult. So you could say that this is the child, this is the little me going into the teenager, okay? Or no, not even into the teenage, into the young child, where it's got a little bit more understanding of things, it's got a little bit of experience, but it doesn't have its whole picture. Then it can move into its teenager. We all know what teenagers are like. They know everything, and they think you're old and ancient and totally irrelevant. So you could say, in terms of this, in terms of the teenage self, as far as your development cycle is concerned, you could say, do you know what, I'm done, I don't need anything else, I've reached my perfection. I don't believe that anyone has ever reached their perfection. Okay, I think perfection is a concept. I think there is always room for improvement. And I think the whole saying of constant never-ending improvement is something that is valuable as far as our own internal journey is concerned. Then you could say that this moves on to a young adult self, okay, or into a young adult self, where there is a level of stability, there is a level of growth as far as your own world is concerned, and then it feels that it's getting into that space of understanding what connection is at a deeper level beyond your insecurity. And this, stepping into this, is the part of who you are in terms of your wise aspect of who you are and consciousness. Okay? Everybody, and this can well be, and how you've redesigned your clay model. Okay, that you've redesigned your clump of clay, that you've moved with it. You've moved with adjusting old pathways and creating new, that everyone has the ability to do, but doesn't mean to say that they choose to. Some people, and I'm sure you know many, what they will try and do is say that they're this, or say that they're this, okay, and maybe give that impression of that. But even if they put that inside and it feels like that, they've missed parts out, and it rattles around and it feels empty. Some would say it even feel more empty than if it was just this part rattling around inside. Okay, so hopefully in that explanation of the Enlightenment journey, excuse me, whilst I just gulp water. It's a concept, but using that is a concept that makes it easier to understand. And why? Because lots of us, okay, lots of us may get to here, get to, you know, start piling this together and go, whoa, this is great. This is great. Can I leap to here, please? I just want it over with. So if you get in that stage where you just think, oh, I just want it over with, I just want to feel perfect, I just want to feel perfect. If you're going in through that stage in terms of the development cycle, you know that you're missing bits out, and there's parts of the journey to fulfill and parts of the experience to take with you. Okay, so it might be time for you to move into aspects of the higher realms, okay, of deeper development. It might be time for you in terms of the space of moving from am I alone, am I the only one, into going, do you know what, yes, of course I'm meant for more. Or maybe going from that space of, yeah, I know I'm meant for more, but I can't really find it, I can't find it, I can't step across, I feel like I'm in this no man's land, I've got these things that I'm leaving behind, but some part of me I feel reluctant to let it happen. So it might be time for you to move into the higher realms of deeper development. And what is the point of deep development? For a sensitive to be a sensitive, and the desire to achieve wholeness, it's the soul, okay, the soul of who you are is looking to resolve repression and set you on a path to freedom. The whole reason that you even stepped onto the path in the first place was it's the soul's drive to set you free from this experience, the feeling, like a soul feeling of repression, and set you on a path of freedom, okay, where you're no longer waiting for your life to pay out, that you're actually creating the life payout. You think, oh, I'm waiting for a payout, I'm waiting for a payout, I'm waiting for life to pay me out, I'm waiting for my big break, my thing to happen, my thing. It doesn't just happen, it builds over a period of time. That's what the Enlightenment journey is. But it is that place of where you make that journey across. The soul is saying, I need to resolve repression. and set myself on a path to freedom. I need to know what I am as a human experience, what I am as a deeper layer of consciousness that's conscious in a physical body, in my physical incarnation. Okay, that you're no longer waiting for your life to pay out, that you're actually in that space of creating it. Okay, they're not waiting for something to happen, they're in the space of creating it. The soul is looking for what in life will get the check paid. Okay, so if you're looking at it as that, saying, soul saying, well, what will I get my life check paid out? How am I going to get what's my life check? I want it paid. The ego, though, the ego is busy taking checks that bounce. So the soul wants its payout. It's saying, come on. Let's get the full experience in our physical self. And the ego is going, no, let's just cash some checks that bounce. Doesn't matter if they bounce. So with the violet flame, okay, this is about you in that space of deciding whether you are meant for a deeper journey, whether you are in the space of wanting that deeper journey at this particular moment in your enlightenment experience, or whether you want to carry on alone, or you want a deeper aspect of connection, or you want to move towards this path of feeling fearless. With the violet flame, you will receive 5 little leaps to transformation, which is 5 sessions to prepare you for this type of development work. Okay, so the 5 little leaps that you get as part of violet flame helps to close these gaps where you feel that the movement forward feels like a gigantic chasm to cross, maybe currently in your mind, to a little leap. So instead, it may be a gigantic leap across, but the whole point of the little leaps is to close that gap, to make it smaller, so it feels like a little step across, rather than something that feels like something that you're going to have to brace yourself for and take a chance and leap over. So those 5 sessions, in terms of the little leaps to transformation, are there to prepare you for this type of development work. The live sessions, which are part of the violet flame, feel like you're the only person that I'm talking to. Okay, we use a particular system where it feels like, for the violet flame, on those live sessions, that it feels like I am the only person, that you're the only person in the room. Okay, that you're the only person in the room talking to me. You also have the opportunity on those live sessions to come on live for me to speak to you, if you're brave enough, and take you through an aspect of your own transformation that's in alignment with the rest of the violet flame. Okay, the live session topics are specifically around the enlightenment transformation path. They're around moving you through what the different stages that are necessary for you to feel that you're building upon deeper aspects of your transformation, that you're moving towards your journey of the whole, and you're not resentful of the parts of yourself that are taking a little bit of time to feel that they come into their whole. Okay, for the enlightenment journey, okay, you need assistance with the lower realms of the physical world, because, you know, we have to deal with people and we have to deal with people that aren't really very awake, and I'm sure you know plenty. Maybe you work with some, maybe you live with some, that they don't really get it, or they don't understand it, and that can feel like it's a bit of a gap or a space between. Okay, so for the enlightenment journey, you need assistance with the lower realms of the physical world. In other words, the life checks that bounce you need to be able to deal with those. So aspects of the ego world that bounce. So with the violet flame, you also receive lotus expansion, which is a very specific path to the enlightened self. Okay, it's a very specific path about feeling very confidently that you're building upon these layers of the self. Okay, and it's in lotus expansion is in a specific order, so you never feel like you're missing parts out. Okay, and you don't have to do your thinking. The thinking is all done for you. Okay, you don't have to think what aspect of a course of lotus expansion do I have to do next. You just do it in the order in which it's given to you, because it's building towards this. Okay, very specific path to the enlightened self. If you're worrying, okay, that you're not good enough for the violet flame, I very much worried about the same. So it's same kind of thing at this kind of stage of the journey. If you're thinking about it, you know, what's the violet flame in terms of the enlightenment journey? Where is it? Where is it on this path? It's here. It's in the meant for more path. It's when, if you feel that you're meant for more, that you need to make some kind of movement forward, then it's for you. It's the violet flame is for you if you feel that you're at this particular stage of your development cycle. Okay, if you're worrying that you're not good enough, as I say, I worried about that at the same stage of my own journey. To give you an example, when I first started my master's degree in spirituality, consciousness and transpersonal psychology, it was for weeks, I would say months even, I put it off. So it was really naughty. I put a lot of it off. Even though I'd been working in this area, in this field for years, I thought, oh, well, you know, other people must know more than I do. Yet the truth was, at that particular time, I was invited to join the course. Okay, I was invited to join that particular course. I had to go through quite a few hoops to do that. But if it wasn't right, I would have been turfed out before being able to join, quite frankly. And that's what's always happened with the violet flame. Okay, you've been invited. It's not random. Okay, it's not just a random thing. Everything is geared towards the fact that you are here listening to me right now, means that you are somebody who's deepening onto that journey. Okay, it's not random. Therefore, I regard you as chosen. Okay, so why is it called the violet flame? Why a violet flame? What's the relevance of that? Well, for centuries, the violet flame has been the goal of most spiritual alchemists. Okay, the flame is the essence of a unique spiritual light. It's about you know, alchemists in terms of creating, spiritual alchemists as in creating that connection. The flame is the essence of a unique spiritual light. Mystics through the ages have seen the spiritual light spectrum behind the physical realm. Okay, so the violet flame is this, the violet flame that spiritual alchemists want to create is this whole spectrum of light known as the 7 rays that exists beyond what we are normally aware of in our physical world. And that light spectrum splits into 7 colours. Violet is the highest point of the physical realm. Okay, it's the transitional point to the next octave of light. The violet flame is about changing negative energy into positive, darkness into light, fate into opportunity. It's about reworking pathways. Okay, you'll know if you want to go to this next step. Okay, if you're a little bit scared but underneath there is excitement, then it's for you. Okay, if you think, well, I'm a little bit scared, but you also feel excited, then the violet flame is for you. If you're worrying that you're not good enough, I regard you as good enough. For you to make it's this far through the session, of course you're invited. Of course you're invited to be part of the violet flame. You also have the 5 little leaps, okay? And you can regard that as a sort of a little, rather than you having to clunk it up the hill, it's like a little travelator, okay? It shortens that space that you feel that if there are gaps that you feel are looming there as far as you're concerned. You've got these 5 little leaps. That's just your prelude. That's just right at the beginning, just for you to feel like you're on this little travelator that helps you move into this deeper part of your journey, okay, in a way that feels comfortable, safe, connected. So you get that to get you there, okay? Any giant chasm that you think's there will feel like a little leap, feel like a little move across. If you're worried about fitting it in to a busy schedule, we all make time for what's important, and we all make time for what we want. It's up to you, you know. Watch less TV. It's up to you. It depends on how much you want something, or how much some of those steps that you feel that you're missing, and the guidance in which you need to feel that you can put those together to create your whole, or even that you can then move towards creating your whole, so you can see through a different eye, different perspective of what you actually want, or rather than you're doing things in life overfilling in the sense of obligation. We're all in this together, okay, as intuitive sensitive people. We're part of the world shift to empathic consciousness, and that starts with your own contribution. So I very much hope that you will take this opportunity to join us for the violet flame. How you do that is you go to heidisawyer.com/mentorship, and you will find all the details on there, okay, on how you join and become part of the violet flame. This invitation will expire because I need to make sure that I'm working at this level with people who know that they want to be there, okay? I'm interested if you think, yeah, do you know what? I think I am meant for more. I feel this, I can feel this, Heidi. Yes, I do wake up thinking, is this it? There must be something a bit more than this. I want it. Or you feel that you've got things in the cluttering up aspects of your journey, and you keep finding yourself moving back down or being reluctant to move on through something. And if you're thinking, well, do you know what? I think I'm in this space of connection and making that way across, then within the violet flame, you're an aspect of how you lead. Okay, you're moving into that space of developing your internal world to be able to feel your whole, so that you can move into that space of leading your an enlightenment journey. But if you're in a space where you think, I'm just, well and truly in the frustration phase, maybe timing isn't right for you. Maybe it's not the thing that you want. Maybe it's not the thing that you want to move forward on. Sometimes it is, when we're in a space of frustration, we need to feel frustrated in ourselves, before we'll even do anything different. We need to kind of go round and round in circles within ourselves before we can even hear, or we can even listen before we want to move in. But if you're in this space, then most definitely the violet flame is for you, okay? As I say, this invitation will expire because I do need to make sure that I'm working at this level with people who know that they want to be here, okay? As I said earlier, I'd very much like to invite you to join the violet flame. So either message us if you have any questions, specific questions that you think, well, I'm not, I need to know the answer to this question before I'll join the Violet Flame, or secure your space at heidisawyer.com/mentorship. Okay, the Violet Flame is already over 70% full. Okay, it's already over 70% sold out. So, you know, make a decision in order to get that space. There's nothing more frustrating than thinking, yeah, I want that, and then finding that you weren't quick enough. That's incredibly frustrating, very, very frustrating. So the Violet Flame, what are you joining? What are you being part of? Well, you're being part of something that you can either join for a section of time, for 3 months at a time, or you can secure your space for a year. Okay, you can secure your space within it, within that sealed, safe unit of developing your enlightenment journey, where you don't have to think anything really about it. You just do the stuff, show up, and your process is built towards this whole. Okay, so if you know that you do want it, then get your space now, please. heidisawyer.com/mentorship. Okay, I hope you do decide to join us for what is an amazing transformation journey, and it's been an absolute pleasure as far as, you know, my current and Violet Flame members are concerned. The Violet Flame becomes something that I specifically open in very short spaces of time in a year. Okay, so this happens to be one of those very short spaces of time where it's open for a new season. Okay, so if you want to join for an amazing transformation journey, do it now. Okay, heidisawyer.com/mentorship. Go there, secure your space, and remember that your sensitivity is your greatest asset and will one day show you the amazingness of who you are. Just switch. That's it. You just switch to your transformation eyes and you will see. Okay, so I hope and I very much look forward to seeing you in the Violet Flame. Go now to heidisawyer.com/mentorship. Bye for now.